Hi!
Hello!
And welcome to the New Power Paradigm. I'm Mariana.
Just say.
I'm Raphael.
I'm Diane! Yay!
And today's topic is intersectional feminism. Welcome
Yes.
everyone to our first official video. So today we're going to be giving you just a brief rundown of what intersectional feminism is, and we're going to have just a little conversation between the three of us.
Just tiny chat.
Tiny little chat.
Yes.
So at its root, what is feminism? So, feminism is is a push for emotional, financial, and political equality for everyone. And what intersectional feminism does is that it reframes how you look at the world.
Yes.
Because as when we were younger, I feel like I want to say that we were raised to view oppression as standalone issues, so like racism, ableism, classism, homophobia, transphobia, etc. But intersectional feminism it connects the dots into a 3D model of oppression, and it showcases how each social identity contributes to the oppression, to the unique experience of oppression of each individual. And this is a coin that was termed by Kimberly Williams Crenshaw back in 1989.
Yes.
She is a civil rights advocate and a scholar of critical race theory. And we have to remember that while we use the phrase intersectional feminism very liberally right now, at its inception it was a word. Intersectionality was a word that was used to describe the unique experiences and the unique oppression faced by Black women in the U.S. We now refer to that. We can also refer to that as like misogynoir. And the three of us, we prefer intersectional feminism as our personal framework because we all have intersecting social identities.
Yes.
I myself am a queer Latina.
I am a Asian woman of color, and I'm also queer.
And I'm a gay Black man.
Yes. So
What?
yes.
So I guess we're gonna talk a little bit about what intersectional feminism is to us.
Yes.
Well, for me, it's funny because I'm a gay Black man. Well, it's not funny. It's interesting, I would say.
So hilarious.
It's funny. It's super funny.
Because I'm a gay Black man, and I think what shaped me into feminism, now that's just my experience, right, is when I would get bullied at school, and also being a gay man of color. I mean, there's so many things, so many layers on me, right? And then the problem is that I was thinking too much about my problem as a man at times, as a gay man, that I think I don't know how to explain it, but I think seeing all these differences, trying to understand what a woman goes through, and getting out of my gay Black man vision. I think what happens is that I was able to suddenly have an interest in feminism.
Well, my personal experiences with feminism have been, I was raised by women. My mom is a single mom. She raised me and my sisters by herself. So I've always been surrounded by very strong, very resilient women. And when I was younger, when I heard the term feminism, I thought it was just girl power, like girls to the front. And while there is nothing wrong with that, we can't just talk about women in feminism because feminism is for everyone, and that is a learning process. So I think intersectional feminism is really important to me because it encompasses so many it's a lens rather through which I view the world, and I think it's really important that we talk about it.
In kind of the same, what's similar to you is I've been surrounded by really strong women my whole life. But I also never really got into feminism. It's only been a couple of years, actually. It's very recent that I've only started to look at, to actually be vocal about my values and to make sure that it's inclusive. Inclusivity is something that's very recent for me because I always, whenever I would learn about feminism, I'm just like, oh, right, the woman got the vote, but then I didn't think wait, that was only white women who got that vote, and then Black women got it after, and the Native women got it after, way later. So I never really looked at inclusivity when I first started educating myself about feminism. And I think it's really important, especially if we're trying to fight for issues that affect women, that we include people, women of color. We include women from who are like lesbian women, trans women.
Yeah.
We're looking at mentally ill women, disabled women, old, young women, every kind of woman, like just to include them in the issues that we're trying to fight for, not just the wage gap. And so I think that's what's important for me, especially moving forward, is to view issues and say, okay, how can I look at this with an intersectional point of view? So thankfully, Kimberly Crenshaw. Yes, thank you for coining the term intersectional theory. Yes.
No, it's true. But now, why do you think we've had this vision, this linear? Can we say linear? This vision of it's just wage gap. It's just just this easy simple views of what feminism is. Do you think it's because of the narrative by men?
Oh yeah.
And when we look at intersectional feminism, like the narrative by white women also, I
don't want to say it, but
let's talk about white feminism.
No, it's true. I mean, is it why because we've been inundated with just this kind of Eurocentric view of what feminism is,
exactly.
That we're at a point where we're not able to. Well, we are able to see it, but some people are not able to look at intersectionality. Is that it? Do you think that's the...
I think it's really because, again, we are in Canada, we're in Quebec. This is a settler colonial state. And everything that we get is through the lens of like the Canadian colonizer. So I think it's really important to think about intersectionality. And the reason I think that we're only like a lot of people just like think about the wage gap and I don't know, I can't think of anything else, but like the wage gap is always like the biggest one. Like there's this big disparity between like men and women, but then no one really talks about the fact that women of color make less than white women. No one talks about the fact that trans women make less than white women. So that's why intersectional feminism is so important, because the wage gap, while maybe not the most important or not the most pressing issue, is always it's presented to us in a man versus woman, where there's more layers to it. There's more colors to the rainbow, if you will.
So we can talk about white feminism, just to tell you what it's about. So white feminism is basically feminism that fails to be intersectional. It only focuses on how women who are oppressed only affects white women. So it's a failure to recognize that there are other things that you have to take into account, like you have to take into account race, social standing, like your ability, physical ability, like your physical ability, and there are different intersections, obviously. I think I'm not really sure. This is for me. I'm learning. I'm learning more about. I'm trying to think of when did I learn certain things, and like why did I not immediately question it? I think it's because you kind of have that internalized, like just I don't know, like for me it was like internalized racism. It was just kind of like, wait, I think growing up it was like very kind of basic views of oppression. Can I say that? So it was really just like man versus woman. It wasn't really looking at like race. I wasn't really looking at those certain things. But I don't know.
I feel like also it's when we talk about like men versus women, it's always like men as like this one thing. But again, intersectionality, men of color make less than white men. So it's also really important that like feminism is inclusive, because feminism, again, it's not just about women. Feminism is important because it can help everyone. It's a way to teach people how to navigate like a patriarchal society.
Yeah.
And that helps. I mean, the patriarchy doesn't help anyone. The patriarchy, the patriarchy hurts everyone. Everyone,
Yeah.
like men and women,
Yeah.
regardless of like your gender identity. Regardless of your gender identity, if you're binary, if you're non-binary, sorry, if you live here in Canada, you are affected by the patriarchy.
Yeah. And it's funny because, like, as a man, right? I mean, I was always told that, not from my family, but from just society, right? Is a man is supposed to be strong. A man is supposed to be, you know,
A real man.
a real man, you know.
No emotions.
And also,
tough.
yeah, be tough. And also, when you're a black man, you have to be like, the society says that you have to be strong, you have to play sports. And I think I was so in that mindset that I was trying to be strong when I couldn't. But when I learned more about feminism and intersectional feminism, it was the first time I heard somebody say that it is okay to cry. It is okay to be the way you are. And I don't like that word too much because I'm effeminate. There's something about a word I don't.
Which word? What's it?
A gay feminine man, right?
Right. Okay.
So I don't know why, but anyway, and it was the first time I was told that it's okay to be that way, and it came from intersectional feminism.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt,
No,
but
go ahead,
because
go ahead.
like it's you finally deciding and allowing yourself to be who you are,
Yeah.
as opposed to trying to fit into the mold that like
Yeah.
our families inadvertently try to like squeeze us into, or that we're told that we have to be a certain way, you know, through our peers, the people that we like let into our lives.
Yeah. And that's why I think it's intersectional feminism is very important because, like you said in the beginning, it's inclusive. It really tries to include everyone in the discussion. At the same time, it helps people see that it's not just a war against men and women.
No, oh my
you know,
gosh,
this very narrow-minded view of
Yeah.
what feminism is.
Yeah, it's not a movement against men. Like, we're actually fighting to destroy the patriarchy that is telling men to be strong, to not show emotion, to be a certain way, and I think everybody can benefit from it. I think also a lot of people, when they hear, first of all, a lot of people are afraid of the word feminism in the 21st century. Everyone, like, because for the reasons that we talked about. I think a lot of people are afraid of labeling it.
Ruff is so smart now.
I think a lot of people like believe in they believe in feminism, but they're afraid to call themselves feminists.
Yeah.
And I also think because intersectional
I'm a
feminism,
womanist. I'm a humanist.
a humanist, what even? Oh my gosh, are you guys humanists? Let me know about that.
Yeah.
And educate me, please, too.
Slide into our DMs, let us know.
But I also think intersectional feminism is so broad, and I think you can, because it's very, you can define it.
It's malleable.
Yeah, it's very malleable. So we're still in this day and age, like trying to fit that, or trying to figure out what intersectional feminism is by looking at the people who have talked about it before.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people think it's divisive. Is it divisive?
Decisive.
Like it divides people.
Oh,
Divides
right.
people.
Whoops.
But
Yeah,
Divisive.
I think it's also the narrative that people are trying to portray of what
Yeah.
being intersectional feminist is, right? I mean, it's a narrative to kind of control this way of thinking, right? Because I think people are afraid to understand other things that's not theirs, right? So I think it's a narrative that's been used to control intersectional feminism, to vilify it, to maybe I'm exaggerating. I don't know if I'm exaggerating. I don't know, but I think it's a narrative that's been used, and it's easier to view this as something dangerous, or because we're so used to being in a patriarchal world, right? Am I making sense?
No,
Yeah,
I think
you
it makes
are.
sense. I think
Yeah.
people like, I don't know, because I'm just thinking of the kind of reaction people
Yeah.
get when you talk about when you try to be intersectional with issues that affect women of color, men of color, and you know, any type of woman, any type of person. I feel like people are always going like, oh, you feminazi, or you social justice
Yeah.
warrior. You know, why do you have to make everything about race, or why do you have to make everything?
Everything is about race.
Everything
It
is about. It's
boils
all
down to
connected.
race.
It's all connecting. It's not, you know, not one thing is separated from the other. You have to take into account the things that affect other people, because like a white woman won't experience. What won't they experience? They won't experience. Okay, we talked about the wage gap, but they won't experience. What won't they experience?
I don't know, like for example, on Tinder, like I'm really hesitant to put my ethnicity on like my Tinder bio
Yeah.
because like I did that in the past and I kept getting like really gross messages about like
Are you serious?
you're like spicy Latinas and like you're
Yeah.
and it's just like so that's like, for example, that is one of the types of like not discrimination, but like gross shit that white women don't have to deal with. You know, it's bullshit. It's gross. It's disgusting. I took it off.
Yeah.
I deleted.
Yeah.
I didn't take off my ethnicity. I just deleted Tinder.
Good for you, Maddie.
Yeah.
Good for you.
All together.
Yeah, just throw
Wash
it
my
away.
hands. Wash my hands.
Sexual, I mean, like catcalling, maybe sexual harassment. A lot of people don't think about, I mean, it happens to every woman on the
Yeah.
street. But if you think about like trans women, it happens
Yeah.
to them a lot more often.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm like, I feel like I'm blanking on like issues that affect women of color. I mean, everything affects. I don't. What do you think?
I mean, I feel like it can be a multitude of things, but like, I don't know.
But I think we also want people to understand. I keep on saying this, and I think I'll say it many times in my life. We have to understand people's circumstances. We have to understand people's paths. And I think in order for us to understand, we have to be willing to sit down, listen, and not just listen to just say, just to look interesting, you know, but to really try to understand. Like, listen, I am a man, right? And there are things that I will never live because I am a man, right? And some issues I cannot understand, right? But I can say, how can I say this? I can sit down and say, explain, just tell me why it bothers you. It's as simple as that, why it bothers you. And then you listen, but you listen honestly. That's what people really want, you know? Because people, I don't know, women don't say that, oh, I'm so sad to be a woman. They don't say just to say it, right? It comes from somewhere, you know? It's historical background, sociological background. It's patriarchy. I mean, it's a patriarchy, and again, we have to also we also have to see that white feminism. We're not saying that it's evil and all that, right? But we're trying to show people that there are other type of.
I feel like we are saying
Yeah,
are saying that white feminism is evil.
Okay.
It's because white feminism and white feminists perpetuate oppression.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and it's not to say that all white women are white feminists.
Yes.
yeah, when we say white, like we're talking again. When we talk about white women, think of it like capital W white, capital W woman. You know?
Yeah, exactly. How can we be more inclusive with our feminism? How can our feminism be intersectional? What do you think?
Again, as a man, right?
Yeah. As a man.
As a man, no,
As
it's
a
true
man.
because
Yeah.
you know it's true. I mean, I think it's just listening. I think it's just listening and to just sit down and truly listen. I say this often, but it is important, I think, to listen to see other circumstances. I'm sorry, I'm repeating myself, right?
No, but that's
But I think I think people need to hear that often.
Gotta brainwash them.
Yeah. Other circumstances. Other circumstances.
Just
No, but-
on repeat, like
just
on a loop.
repeat, right? Because again, I'm a gay black man. I've been through lots of issues, and if me as a gay black man, I've been through a lot of issues, then I should try and understand other people's issues because there's just I don't live in a bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like we don't live in a bubble. I mean, how many are in this world? 8
So
billion?
many.
We're so many, right? And
So many people.
and I think it's just important to just listen, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Like, I think it just boils down to that, listening to other people, validating their experiences. I mean, if someone is telling you that, for example, if what you're saying is making someone uncomfortable, then take that into stride and maybe think about what you're saying.
Yeah, I agree. And I think, first of all, doing your own research, you know, not just kind of saying what
It's
you
so
want.
important.
Eliminating any racial slur, like eliminating slurs. Like I think, don't as soon as you hear something feminist, you know that you that you identify as feminist, don't just go like feminazi or like, kind of practice thinking. Like if you're watching a movie, you know, and you're like, oh my god, this is a great feminist film, but then ask yourself like, are there any people of color in it?
Are there any women of color?
Are there any women of color in it? Just try to be critical of everything that you consume in the world. And yeah, again, like listen to people, comment on this, and give us your take on it. You know, we want to know what you guys think.
This is a conversation. It's a conversation
Right.
between us
Right.
three, and it's a conversation with you, the viewers.
Yeah.
So let us know how you liked our first episode.
Yes.
You can follow us at the NPP channel on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook. And yeah, thanks so much
Yeah.
for watching.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.